Your leg behind the podium. All right, first of all, thank you all for joining us for another later evening. We will be going back to do further discussions on infrastructure tonight at our offices because we want to be sure we get the final text prepared and out. But tonight's also a time to pay tribute to my colleagues behind me who have put together something truly extraordinary, which is a $550 billion much-needed contribution to our nation's infrastructure. And it happened from the center out. In other words, at a time when Washington seems broken, this group came together. At a time when Washington seems broken, this group of members behind me came together, along with others, and decided we were going to do something great for our country. Every American believes that roads and bridges, ports and waterways, even our digital infrastructure needs to be updated. They know it because they travel on those roads, go to those bridges, deal with the challenges of not having Wi-Fi to be able to do your schoolwork or your work or get your health care. So people know that it's needed. And Washington has known that for years. Every president in modern times has proposed a major infrastructure investment. In fact, Donald Trump proposed one over $1.5 trillion when he was president. This one is $550 billion. It's paid for. We do it without raising taxes. We do it in a way that's going to help in terms of our economy long term, to make our economy more efficient, more productive. Therefore, it's not adding to inflation. It actually is counterinflationary. It will help deal with the very issue we're now facing, which is higher inflation. It makes sense to the point that two different polls, each a couple months apart over the last few months, have said that 87% of the American people support this effort. And again, it's no wonder. When we go home, we all hear about it. And despite the popularity of it and the need for it, Washington hasn't been able to get it done. This time, we're going to get it done. We took a first important step tonight. There are, of course, additional challenges ahead. We recognize that. But to go back to where I started, it would not be happening but for a team effort. Everybody behind me. I want to thank Kirsten Sinema in particular, who helped to co-lead these negotiations, but every single member here played a huge role. Susan Collins, in the last 24 hours, I think has left maybe 2 hours.
But she looks great.
She looks great.
Thank you.
On our side, Mitt Romney and Bill Cassidy, Lisa Murkowski, all of them helped with the negotiation, but every member here helped. They were all involved in the working groups and helped to combine to produce something that's, again, not about Republicans or Democrats, it's about making America more productive, more efficient, therefore improve the lives of the people we represent. With this, I'd like to turn to Senator Sinema.
Thanks so much, Rob. You know, I first want to echo what Rob said about the dedication of this group. The 10 senators you see here together have been working for months with a deep desire to solve problems and deliver real results for Americans across this country, and to do so not with ideology, but with a focus on practical results. So I want to give special thanks and express my personal gratitude to Jean Shaheen, Mark Warner, John Tester, and Joe Manchin, each of whom have sacrificed many, many hours over these last several months to get us to this deal today. And I think I speak for all of us when I say that over the course of these last several months, we developed not only significant trust with each other, but we also developed a significant desire to show that our process can work. And so while there will certainly be questions about the details of the package and we will be happy to answer those. What I'd like to really focus on is the significance of this package and the significance of this moment. We just left the floor of the United States Senate, where we had a strong and broad bipartisan showing to move forward on this historic legislation, which will be the greatest investment in infrastructure in all of our lifetimes. And it came not so much because folks were interested in their bridge or their road or their piece of the middle mile of broadband, but because each of us are deeply committed to demonstrating to the country and to the world that our government can work, and it can work for the people of the United States of America. And we intend to show over the coming days, as we work through this bill together in a collaborative process on the floor of the Senate, to continue to demonstrate that we can do things together. We can engage in bipartisanship. We can deliver results. You know, the word in this town and all across this country from the naysayers is that bipartisanship is dead, that it doesn't work anymore, and that government is broken. And we are here to say, no, it works. It takes time. It is hard. It causes Susan not to sleep, but we get it done. You do look great though, Susan. We have gotten it done. We will continue to work with our colleagues over the coming days, and I couldn't be prouder to be a part of this group, not just the 10 who are assembled here today, but our larger group, the 22 Democrats and Republicans who've worked together over these last weeks to join together to move this process forward, and to say a special thank you to every single senator who voted to proceed on our motion this evening, demonstrating confidence in the process as we move forward and demonstrating a commitment to showing that bipartisan is alive and well and works in our country. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Susan Collins to say a few words.
Thank you. This is truly a night to celebrate not only a long overdue, much needed investment in our infrastructure, an investment that administration after administration has called for, but that has not been delivered to the American people, but also to celebrate bipartisanship. We have shown tonight, we've shown America tonight, that we can work together, that we can put aside ideological differences and work together to find common ground on an issue that affects each and every American. I want to thank Senator Portman and Senator Sinema for their unwavering leadership of our group, and each and every one of the senators who have gathered here tonight. I particularly want to do a shout out to Senator Jean Shaheen, yes, my neighbor from New Hampshire. We have worked literally night and day on the broadband provisions of this bill. And those provisions are so important. One of the lessons of the pandemic is that we must extend broadband throughout this country to rural America, that last mile, to urban areas, that middle mile. And our bill has an historic investment, not only in roads and bridges and airports and seaports and waterways and the electric grid, but also in broadband. And I'm very proud of what all of us have done. We've still got a long ways to go before we get to the finish line, but this was a vitally important first step. And with that, I am pleased to introduce Senator Manchin.
Right behind you.
Okay.
Thanks, Susan. And to everybody here, so much has been said, but the thing that we know, nothing of this monumental task has been done in 30 years. We have not made a major investment in the infrastructure of the United States of America for the last 30 years, first time. And when you see the bipartisanship here, bipartisanship is built because of relationships. Relationships are built when there's trust. And the more we continue to do things such as this, the more you'll see more bipartisanship. There was 22 of us involved. And 22, we break down different groups, had different assignments. but that just trusted each other. And that when it said it can't be done, the heavy lifting that does, these are hard things. Really what this does, there's not a person in America, and I've always said this, that pothole doesn't have a Democrat or Republican's name on it. It'll bust your tire, doesn't care who you are. That bridge could fall in on you. It could be your child or someone else's. We have the worst bridge system in the country right now in West Virginia. We have more bridges, but we're responsible for. But with that being said, we're touching every element of infrastructure. If you're on the rails, if you're in a car, if you're basically wanting to get on internet, your bridges and your roads, everything, the airports, we've touched everything here. This is what's bringing America together, knowing that we can do something that's been needed for so long. So I can only say to everyone up here, and everyone's worked so hard, that this is a job that's well done, but still a lot to do. There's a lot to do. And we will get this done. And we're basically putting America first, putting this country first, but sending a message to the world. People have lost confidence in America. We can't do the heavy lifting anymore politically. We've showed that we could, and we can get this done. And there's a lot of good things beyond this that we can get done. It's a matter of building a relationship and having trust. I trust each one of them with my political life. I really do. Because I know in the end we want the same thing, what's best for our country. And we've got to quit putting our politics in front of our country. This is about the United States of America, building and rebuilding the infrastructure that we've let go for far too long. And with that, I just want to say, whoever, there's so much to be said here, Mark, you and Jean, and basically Bill's worked so hard, and Lisa has always been right there.
That means you've moved stage right, Joe.
We're trying to get everybody moving along because we all don't want to be standing up here for 5 minutes. So we've agreed that we're going to say really quick, little quippy things. Infrastructure is about bringing America together again. Infrastructure is about connections, whether it is connections by road or rail or how we move on the water. It's how we connect through the broadband. It's how we connect through things like water and wastewater systems. It's connections. And the connections that you're seeing here tonight, the relationships that have been built, the bipartisanship that you are seeing on display, this is yet another way to bring America together. With that, quickly to Senator Shaheen.
Thank you. Actually, Senator Murkowski was trying to delay this so we could get into primetime in Alaska news coverage. But
Didn't we?
I want to thank Rob Portman and Kirsten Sinema for their leadership, my partner Susan Collins for her work on broadband with me, and to everyone who's standing here, to all the other senators whose input has been so critical, to the hardworking staffs who helped make this happen. With this vote today, we showed all of those people who said, Congress is broken, the process doesn't work, you can't bridge the partisan divide, that in fact we can. We can get something done. We still have a ways to go, but we are going to bring this across the finish line with support of the majority of the Senate. Thank you. Senator Warner. No, Cassidy.
Often confused.
Hey, thank you. Thank you all. I'm going to briefly give 3 human stories, a little bit of a background. You know, every now and then you get a little wind in your sails. When Portman and Sinema both did great jobs, but we made the decision to talk about it in Republican lunch. And Rob spoke about it, and Kevin Kramer sat in the back, and I wasn't really sure where Kevin was going to be. And Kevin said, "What's not to like?" I thought, whoa, we got something here. Secondly, when the Problem Solvers Caucus, because we've got to have a 2-chamber strategy. And we're speaking to senators, we need that House. And the Problem Solvers Caucus, 28 Rs, 28 Ds, came out and voted for the package that we would come through with. That was another wind in the sails. And the last human story, we're talking about roads, we're talking about process, and about, man, isn't it great that the Senate's working? But what's really great is that family at home where that pipe fitter is going to have a job, that construction worker is going to have a job, that person who just organizes things, she's going to have a better job, and there's going to be tens and thousands and hundreds of thousands of jobs created, and their commutes will be better, their homes will be more secure, they'll be weatherized, and I could go down the list. The ultimate human story is about the American people, and they are the ones who've really won from this. Thanks. And now I'll turn it over to Senator Warner.
Well, let me echo the thanks to all of my colleagues. And I'll remind you, this is not the first time this has happened. Most of us were all together back in the November, December timeframe when conventional wisdom was, again, you can't get a bill done. And the so-called 908 bill took place. I want to thank all the folks behind me. I also want to thank the team from the White House. They were intimately involved, and they had to give and push and pull. I want to thank Chuck Schumer, who we've had some challenging times inside the Democratic caucus, and I'm sure there'll be some future ones. And I was grateful to see Leader McConnell also vote in favor of moving forward. I think with the last couple of weeks, with the upsurge of the COVID virus, with some of the challenges we may be seeing over in the House, I think the country needed a bit of good news. And I think what we're delivering tonight is that tonic, in a way, for the soul of America. And I think it's a dramatic step forward. And I will say this, for all of you who've been following us each night you're saying, how much closer, how much closer, how much closer? I do want to officially declare that this group of senators is proposing to the Olympic Committee that the next new Olympic sport be closing a bipartisan infrastructure deal. And I think tonight we, what's it called? Stuck the landing?
Yes. One step closer.
One step closer to sticking the landing. So with that, thanks everybody, and it's off to my fellow, with two of us who kind of, the business guys, Mitt Romney.
Thank you, my friend. Look, everything's been said, not everybody's said it. I want to express appreciation for the enjoyment I've had in working with this group. We have worked long and hard and accomplished a great deal. Some time ago, Ted Kennedy made a line at a celebration like this that I'll use. He said something of this nature. He said, I'll apply it in this way. When Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell vote for the same bill, one thing, one of them hasn't read it. But in fact, both of them have. Both of them have been very involved. We've let them know what's going on in this process. We are familiar with what's going on here. Our colleagues have. And having worked together has been a great thrill for me. People say, what's it like going from being a CEO or being a governor to being a senator? Let me tell you, working with a group of people like this in whom I have great confidence and enjoy their time and our time and find it a pleasure to work together has been a real highlight for me. And so I'm delighted that we've made so much progress and look forward to this becoming law, because it's one more example, and there are plenty of them here, where people put aside the politics to actually get the work of the people done. And this is getting the work of the people done for America. I'm proud to have a small part in that process. Kevin?
Well, thank you, Mitt. Thanks to all of you, all the people here. As you probably all know, I wasn't part of the gang.
Oh, you're in now.
Yeah, I'm stuck now, it looks like. But here's what's sort of cool. This presents a great opportunity for us to show the country what can be done and what's possible. But I want to speak for just a minute about what's been done that doesn't get a lot of attention. And that is, many parts of this bill are built on a bipartisan foundation passed by committees. Joe, E&R, you put together that energy title. As you know, I like to talk about the 4 Cs, Carper, Capito, Cardin, and Kramer, passing out unanimously the surface transportation bill, the water bill that serves as a foundation. This stuff happens a lot more than people would know, and I wish that they knew it more often. And I know it's not sexy to get along, but there's a lot more of it that happens than you might think. So I'm honored to just be a part of the group tonight, and really grateful to have seen such a large vote, and that creates momentum, and I think the country should be encouraged.
Here,
Awesome.
here.
Thank you all.
Do
All
a
right,
couple questions?
take a couple questions.
Hard ones to Rob.
It seems like there are still a group of senators that may be hesitant to support something that is not paid for. I'm just wondering if the various paid for that negotiated, if you think that's going to be satisfying
We were careful in this process to have the Congressional Budget Office and the Joint Committee on Taxation and Office of Management and Budget look at our pay-fors. And as I said earlier, there's no taxes in this legislation, but there's also, $550 billion of infrastructure that's paid for. And I think that's important right now. I will say, part of the reality of infrastructure spending is it's not going to be spent this year or next year. This is spending over 5 years, 10 years, 15 years for long-term capital assets. Think of a bridge that might last for 50 or 70 years. So that's why I said earlier, this adds to the efficiency of the economy, makes us more productive. Therefore, there will actually be revenue coming back into the coffers. We have a study from Penn Wharton, which talks about some specific numbers based on our package that we have laid out, but it indicates that it'll actually help grow the economy, help create jobs, and therefore help bring more revenue back into the economy. So this is the kind of spending Republicans and Democrats alike can get behind. So it's paid for, but it also is going to result in America being more productive, more efficient, and therefore more revenue coming back into the federal government.
And I think the strength of our vote tonight showed that we have support from both parties, from folks who are fiscally responsible, fiscally conservative. So we've taken a lot of time to ensure that we were paying for this package and doing so in a way that was responsible and that was defensible. As you saw, our vote tonight was broadly bipartisan, and we anticipate over the course of the coming days, as we work through the amendment process, that we will earn and garner more support. So stay tuned as we move forward. So the 550 of our legislation is separate and apart from the baseline funding. This is all new investment funding, one-time funding that, as Rob said, will be spent over the course of a number of years, because logistically that's how it happens when you're spending infrastructure dollars. But this is separate and apart from baseline dollars.
There's been some confusion about the numbers, and the way to look at it, I think, is that this is a one-time shot in the arm to our nation's infrastructure, to address the very real problems that exist, including a lot of deferred maintenance that has built up over time. As my colleague said, this is the first time in decades we've done this. So it's an additional $550 billion on top of the normal spending that would occur, and that's the baseline spending you talk about.
Let's call on some women.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is what made this process easier, frankly, is that we had some good legislation to work with. Not in every committee, but most committees had reported something out. We were able to pick up their policy. And that made the process more bipartisan as well, because those tended to be, as Senator Kramer said, very bipartisan products. Yes?
But we did incorporate the authorizing language of committees that have done their work.
Yep. Thank you.
You can have one.
The other is what you think the next steps are. Is this a week, 2 weeks? Do we know how long it takes?
Well, we don't control the floor. As folks have heard me say before, one person controls the floor, and you're welcome to go see him. But we expect that we'll be moving forward in a speedily process, ensuring that it's open, transparent, and allowing members to participate fully. We are, as you all know, we have summaries that have been distributed to members, and we anticipate that language will be available soon. We're still in the finalizing portions of a package. The bill's like this big, but we expect that to be done very soon. It's really big. It's really big. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll have all the information soon.
No, you already asked a question. Yeah.
In the similar vein, on amendments, some of your colleagues, both Republican and Democrat, have said that they want to see certain amendments. I know Senator Parker with water and Republicans. On the other side, how open are you guys to amendments to the final bill once you do see it? And do you think that amendment, how long do you think that amendment process will go on for based on your conversations with your colleagues?
Yeah, let me say we're very open to amendments. We want this to be a fair process so that Republicans and Democrats alike have an opportunity to try to amend the legislation. We're both committed to that. We intend to be very involved in that, as you can imagine. And my hope is that we'll move quickly, but give members a chance to do that. I don't know how long it's going to take. That's not up to us. It's up to the leadership, but also to members.
That's right.
How long members want to continue to debate this issue. But what happened tonight was a huge step forward, because the first step in all these processes is how do you get on the legislation? And once you're on it, then there tends to be the ability for Republicans and Democrats to figure out how to proceed, both on the amendment structure and, getting the language and being able to, understand exactly what's in it. So I think the vote will grow. And although tonight's vote was very encouraging, and as you know, we were trying to get to 60. We exceeded our goals. I think we ended up at 67, and if you include Senator Rounds, who was not able to come for family reasons. He was a supporter of the legislation, as you know, part of our group, so it would have been 68. That's pretty darn good for a start, and we think we can build on that as members begin to realize the impact of these projects on their states, on the people they represent. Let me also say something that we've worked very closely with the White House on this, and in fact, Senator Sinema and I have been negotiating with the White House in addition to our colleagues, and I want to thank them. I want to thank Steve Ricchetti in particular, who has taken the lead for the White House, also Brian Deese, and President Biden
And Louisa
for working
Terrell.
with us, and Louisa Terrell as well. So that's important for us to comment on, because frankly, a lot of the strong vote you saw tonight, I think, on the Democratic side was because President Biden was supportive. I also want to thank our staff, because they have been working unbelievable hours.
They
and done a
literally haven't
terrific
slept
job.
in months. Yep. Our bill is a supplemental bill. So our bill is $550 of a supplemental appropriation, along with authorizing language for the base. But just like base funding is always done through the appropriations process, that will continue to be done through the appropriations process. We're not taking the jobs of the appropriators, right? So we're doing a supplemental bill with all the authorizing language from the committees of reference.
So it's an historic level of funding, and it will make a huge difference for our nation's infrastructure over time. But Senator Sinema is absolutely right. It's a 5-year supplement, in essence, to the existing spending, which will continue under the normal committee process with appropriations every year. And look, I think this is an incredible opportunity for us to both improve our infrastructure, which is badly needed, make us more competitive, but second, to show that bipartisanship can work. We can get things done in this town. So I'm very pleased with our ability tonight to move on to the legislation and continue to demonstrate that.
But yeah, one question. It is the White House calling, so I need to get going.
Oh.
Yeah, that's Steve.
Yeah.
I shouldn't answer while we're here. Okay, last question. You've been waiting.
Could you identify more where you're going to get $200 billion in COVID forecast? And can you say what happened to the infrastructure bank and the $10 billion in transfer funds that's taken out?
So the unused COVID funding will actually that'll become a list. So when the bill is published, it'll be listed out in there. But what we tried to do as a group was to find pots of money that were neither obligated or allocated. So funds that were left over in some cases, in some areas, working with the OMB and specific agencies to identify areas where they had some excess. We were kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel to get little bits and pieces out of small accounts where they had very small amounts left, but really just trying to be efficient with government dollars and not leave extra dollars laying around in accounts where they wouldn't be used. But we'll certainly have a...
That money was going to go somewhere. Where are you going to take it?
Well, what I'm trying to describe is that actually for much of these dollars, they were in accounts where the programs had ended and there were excess dollars in the accounts. So they weren't actually planning to go somewhere. They were excess dollars in accounts. And that's most of where the funding is coming from. But we'll have an accounting of each of those to the fairly small dollar amount. We actually have one document that lists out tiny little account amounts, which will be included in our legislation.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks so much, guys.
Good job.